to Yorkshire Business Focus. Love to see you here, Debbie.
Nice to be here. Thank you for asking me.
Absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. You've got a hell of a backstory, though, haven't you? I mean, when did you start working?
When I was 12.
Okay, and that kind of leads on to a fairly strong work ethic. How many hours a week do you think is a good working week for you?
Well, what should be a good working week is probably about 40 hours.
Okay, yeah.
I do my best work because I'm so busy through the day dealing with clients and team. I do my best work on an evening. That's my quiet time. So I tend to do my best work in an evening. So my days can run to sort of 10, 12-hour days. It used to be a lot more.
Right, okay.
They are massively toned
What,
down.
when you were 13 years old, are there longer days?
Actually, sometimes, because I was farming when I was 12, farming and babysitting. So I'd be up at 6 milking cows and still babysitting at 10 the next night. And harvest time we'd work 6 till 11, 6 a.m. till 11 at night, and then we were back again 6 a.m. So that was all my school holidays and weekends. So
we often have that conversation in business about resilience and what is resilience. Somebody that works those kind of hours and has done for all their life. So what's your definition of resilience?
I think I've always had just a powerful drive, and a lot of mine comes from I didn't come from a wealthy family. I wanted to come from a wealthy family. I always felt like I didn't fit. I felt I should have been in the big house down the road, not quite where I was. So it was, I've had this massive drive to not be that person, to do as well as I possibly can and be the best version of myself. And for years I battled about trying to be somebody else and trying to be like everybody else. And it took me a long time to realize that just be yourself because everyone else is taken. And it's just and that was working with a good friend of mine that sort of taught me that. So yeah, it's just that.
And when
getting out of that trap.
When did you pick up that mantra of just be yourself because everybody else is taken? And what changes did you have to make to you in order to achieve that?
It's just accepting who I was, really, because I never thought I was good enough. And I think that's where the drive came from, was that I never thought I was good enough because I always had this thing, I was second born, second best. And it was just and also a bit of a little voice. So I was never really heard because my mum had 5 children. So I was quite studious. I always wanted, I worked hard to go to grammar school. I wanted to go to grammar school. I wanted to be better. And it was just I just wanted a better life. I wanted my family to have a better life. So I just worked hard.
If that was the backstory at home, and the backstory was little voice, second born, second best, and so being the great version of you. So when you came into the workplace and you got some great bosses, and I think you've had some great bosses in your time, haven't you? What did they do so well to bring you to the point where you are now? What have those great bosses done for you?
So yeah, I know we've sort of talked about this. I had 3 amazing bosses, 4 amazing bosses. So I started in construction when I was 18, just 18, and I had a great boss there, who, even though I was the junior, I was a junior, but he listened and he valued, and again, I changed jobs 11 years later. At which point I was part qualified because the people that I worked for believed I could do it and encouraged me to do it. So, and it was that encouragement. So when we actually unfortunately went into liquidation in 1996. So I was the last one out of the office. So, but I swung from a business that was on its knees and very, very poor to a business that was wealthy and complete flip side, that was organized and had funding in place and just an amazing business, and 3 amazing bosses. And I think the thing from that was that I was heard. I was treated equally. I was treated with respect. They valued my opinions and they listened. And it wasn't even about money. I knew I could go into the centre of Leeds and get a job on more money, but I enjoyed being where I was
Brilliant,
because
brilliant.
of how they treat me.
So
Yeah.
what did you learn from that?
I think I never thought I'd end up leading a team like I have.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of what their values were have followed and been embedded into me, and you know, I treat my team with the same respect. So
And if you could voice those values, what would how do you describe those values?
it's just about respect, empowerment, uh,
Okay. Yeah.
values, just being valued, um, just being heard, you know, and it's just where, you know, everybody looks at a business leader and say, oh, haven't they done well? You don't do well on your own. You do well with your team. The reason you get to where you are is because you've got a good team behind you. You know, they always say, you know, behind every good man is an even better woman, don't they? Well, that's the same in business. You know, behind every great leader is an even better team
Absolutely.
in my
Yes,
opinion.
yes, yes,
So,
yes, yes.
you know, and it wasn't always that case. You know, I wasn't, you know, it took me a long time to learn how to lead better.
Okay, yeah,
I
yeah.
always listened. I didn't always get the right people, but and I think, you know, when I was starting out again, I didn't always have the funds to get the best people, so the team didn't work. Um,
Okay,
uh,
okay. So, and if you learn, so the values you learn were respect and
yeah,
listening. So when have you got a great story of when you've implemented that? Can you think of a good example, a good time, a good story around that? What happened? Who were we talking with?
what in terms of my team or
Yeah, yeah. In terms of your team, yes. Or maybe something you've seen somewhere in industry. I don't know. Maybe you just
so
got a good example.
I mean in terms of my team, I think the biggest change was when we went through COVID and also I had to do a lot of work on myself as well from where I was. Um, and it was all around confidence and being enough, and being enough and having that. So you know, I had bad experience in another business, and that left me in not great shape, if I'm honest. So you know, what I learned from that was really just to have a bit more confidence in myself. So I think
Yeah.
that was showing up through my hiring. So I got to the stage where I thought, just go big or go bust, basically. So
Yeah.
I hired the very best people I could
Right.
even dream of affording, and just held my breath and thought, it'll be fine. We can do this.
I love that. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
And I
we can
love
do
that.
it.
That's almost like nature abhors a vacuum. If you create a vacuum, then it will
Yeah,
get filled. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
I love it.
exactly. And it was just that, just have faith in yourself. This will be okay. We've got some brilliant clients. We've got, you know, we've got to get the skill set to serve those clients as best we can. And in order to do that, I've got to pay the right price and I've got to get the right people. So that was the start of us building the best team. Um, and we'd started to put a really good team together. Come COVID, we went all the way through COVID, and it was horrendous for us because we were just flat out. And you know, all the people were decorating the houses and gardening, and you know, enjoying the sunshine or doing whatever they were doing. And we were 12-hour days, furlough pay, calculations coming out of our ears, claim forms in, funding claims, forecasting our backsides out, trying to make sure people weren't going to sink, all the rest of it. So when we came out of COVID, um, I just said to the team, what does this look like? You know, you tell me what you want. You know, how do we work going forward? What's going to work for everybody? We've been full time in the office, we've been full time at home. What's the balance? And listen to them and followed their lead really.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that. So, what does the future look like?
Um, so my team now they have hybrid working. So we're 2 days in the office, 3 days off. I'm in a bit more because I'm a lot more face to face with clients, but um, they do 2 days in the office, 3 days at home. They're hugely productive when they're at home. We've got a really good balance in terms of we introduce flexi time as well, so
Okay.
they can work whatever time they want through the
Yes.
day as long as they do their 7.5 hours and the clients are looked after and the deadlines are hit. So they're empowered to manage their own time. Um, they manage their own work.
So their KPIs are around the number of hours that they work and the
Yeah.
number of clients that they service.
Yeah, and as long as they know what their own deadlines are, as long as they hit deadline, they serve the clients, they can work whatever hours they want in terms of through the day. So if they want a 2-hour lunch to go meet their friend, they can do that. If they've got, we're all juggling elderly parents and things like that. So things come up where they just have to pop out for an hour or whatever. So, but it works really well for the clients because I now have team members starting at 6 a.m. in the morning, and I've still got some team members working till 7 at night. So,
so whenever they throw a query in,
yeah,
there's somebody somewhere that can pick it up.
yeah, exactly that.
That's kind of sneaky, is that one, to be fair, Deb? It's kind of sneaky, but I do like it. Yes.
Yeah, but it just gives it. But everybody gets the balance because some people prefer to work. They're better starting later and finishing later. And there's this whole science around working into the best time for you, isn't there? Some people perform better in the morning, some people perform better at night. So they work however they want to work, basically.
Really?
And that works really, really well.
How will you know if, as and when that changes?
Because I'll ask them.
Okay.
We do a weekly team meeting on a kick-off meeting on a Monday morning. We do a full in-person team meeting once a month, and we have an agenda. We follow the agenda to the T, and we always go back to last month. What happened? What did we say last month? What's worked? What's not worked? And it's a constant listening and evolving. And if something's not working, we change it. So we felt that some of the communication could have been better because you're never perfect. There's always work to be done, isn't there? So we said, how can we get communication better when we're all working from home? So we've introduced what we call open working, and what that means is for a couple of hours a day we all go on camera. So not specifically because when you're all working from home, to speak to somebody about something, it's conscious communication. So you consciously pick the phone up or you go on Teams and you talk something through. This is different. It's just that we all go on camera and carry on working. And one of my team said she found great comfort from listening to somebody's keyboard. and it was as if
knowing there's somebody there.
Yeah, it's as if and so you all go on camera as if you're in the office. So if a query pops up or a question pops up or a call comes in and it sparks a conversation, everybody's involved in the conversation, so everybody gets to hear and know. So that's improved communication massively. So and it's just constant nudges.
Yeah, I get that. I absolutely get that. And there's an interesting piece there around being heard. So how do you satisfy for yourself that emotion, that feeling that people are heard in the business? How do you get to listen to people in the business? And how does that work for you?
I talk to them. I just, I spend quite a lot of time through the day just, walking. I'll just walk. I sit in with them most of the time. Okay. If I'm in and out of meetings, we've got a separate room where I've got our meeting table behind. But for the most part, I'll go and sit in with them and we just chat. And if somebody's got something to say, they say it. Or can I just have a word? I treat people how I want to be treated.
Okay. Yeah.
So if somebody needs to say something, we do regular appraisals. And that's their appraisal. That's for them. It's not for my benefit. It's how to make.
Interesting. Tell me about that. How is it for them rather than for the business?
Because if they're not happy, then the business isn't happy, is it? So it's their safe space to voice any concerns, anything they want changing, anything, if they want to grow, if they want to do, we've got unlimited training. If they want to do a training course, they do it. Again, they don't have to ask if they want to do a training course. They just book on and do it, or they'll just put on Teams, I'm doing a webinar or on whatever. I send them out to all the accounting conferences that who we sit every year and say, right, this is the diary for the year for the accounting conferences. Who wants to go to what? And they just book on and go. So
so you sounds like the team have a lot of autonomy, a lot of freedom to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
How do you know that your team are aligned with your goals for the business or the goals for the business? How do you know that alignment's there, that they're doing the right thing, rowing in the right direction?
I mean, controversially or not controversially, everything's timesheeted.
Awesome. Okay.
So
What's the value
everything's
to the business of everything being timesheeted?
uh, well, it's actually massive in terms of billing because we don't miss anything.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah. Okay.
and just to, I took on an ops manager about 6 years ago, and she's across everything.
Yeah.
She's massively across
Okay.
everything. But and her role is is basically analysing our efficiencies, analysing our performance,
Nice.
and that's all fed back. And we do little efficiency graphs so everybody knows where they are on the
So
target.
what inspired you to take an ops manager on in an accountancy practice?
Because I just didn't have time to do everything basically, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of that. There is a lot of that work. I knew I was missing things. I knew that we had quite a lot of leakage, um, and also emotionally, I'm very emotionally embedded into my clients'
Okay.
worlds,
Yeah.
just because of the way we work with clients. So sometimes I know too much, so I'll sit there. I found myself sitting there going, mm, they're not having a good time. Best not bill that. And so I was too emotionally involved,
Okay. Yeah.
and had
Yeah.
to detach myself from that. Otherwise,
And
I
do you
would have
find
been in this.
yourself doing the same with the team? The same emotional attachment?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like mother hen most of the time. So I do definitely mother them, but my ops manager is my mother. Yeah, mother. Yeah. So I think I've just had that. It's been inbuilt in me since I was a very young age because I was from a big family and we didn't have money and all the rest of it. That I've been a mother hen for forever. And so I do fuss around them. That like they're just like my family. So
Brilliant. I love
yeah,
that. I love
yeah.
that. And if you were to describe the business, so well, let's take another let's take another track on that. How do you know how well the business is going to run if you're not around?
Well, we put it to the test this year because I broke my arm really badly and then broke it again 5 weeks later. So,
Once
yeah,
wasn't enough for Debbie, was it?
yeah, no, you couldn't write it. You literally couldn't write it. So, and that's me being stubborn and trying to do things too early and
Okay.
making it worse again.
Yeah.
Uh, so I came off a motorbike, broke my arm in 4 places, had to wait 2 weeks for surgery. So I was literally immobilized for 2 weeks, and couldn't do anything. I was just in a hospital for 2 weeks, um, just being unable to do anything. So my team, without any prompting or any warning, had to pick everything up. So
And what was there in the business to support them to do that?
um, we've worked really, really hard on our systems and processes, so everybody knows what's going on. Everybody knows where everything is. We have workflows and trackers and um, time recording. So we all can, we can all see our own timesheets, so we know, and everybody else's timesheets. So we can look back on a client. We can see, we save emails to client folders. So there's a full history of what's going on with everything. So just robust systems and processes, basically, and knowledge of clients. And because I empower the team to speak to clients as well,
Mhm.
and everybody's got a relationship with the client, then it's not a shock when somebody rings up and they don't know them because they do. Um, so so basically, yeah, some meetings had to be rescheduled, some meetings had to be um, we had to put stand-ins in and all the rest of it. But
But the system ran the business and the team
yeah,
ran the system.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Absolutely
it's
brilliant. Yeah, I
systems
love
and
that.
yeah. So it worked, and we've learned from that as well. We've understood what worked, what didn't, and we've worked hard on the what didn't. So it wasn't perfect, but it worked without me, which was good,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
we know it can. Um, that just because of the relationships we hold, there's sometimes it was, do you want a meeting with such and such, or do you want to wait for Debbie? And there was a bit of I'll wait for Debbie, but
Yeah,
if I wasn't around to be waited on,
they
they
would
would
have
have got
been
looked,
well looked after.
they would have been looked after regardless. Yes, yeah.
I love that. I love that. And would you describe yourself as being tech savvy as a business?
We've been digital since 2012, and
Oh,
and even before that. So I've always been massive on systems and process because I believe that clients should have the best data and the best in the best format that possibly can. So I went into practice in 2005, and I was all, within nanoseconds, I had everybody on Sage desktop, which was like, it was old hat, but and even then I still wanted to be able to help people. So I had remote desktop login, so I could remote log into their computers to help them if I needed to. So even then we were doing the online thing.
All right, cool. So very early
not
adopters.
Online, very early adopters. And then I saw Xero come into the. I always believed that there was a better way, and I saw Xero come into the UK. I first saw it demoed in 2010. I exited a partnership in 2011, and when Not Just Numbers was born, and by 2012 all my clients were on Xero, and we've adopted tech ever since, and it's driven our business massively. So we wouldn't be able to do what we do without the tech that we use, just because.
And that's a really good point. So what is it that you guys do? Because I know that the way that you handle accounting for business is different to the way that a lot of accountants do. You go way beyond the statutory account. Tell us a little bit about what you do there.
So we're basically an outsourced finance function. So we do everything for SMEs. We do everything from bookkeeping, payroll, VAT, right through to monthly or quarterly management accounts, forecasting, accountability meetings, funding, hand-holding, marriage guidance if you want it. We've done a bit of that in our time. And then obviously the stat accounts and tax self-assessment and tax planning. So we get involved in quite a lot. We've got a big network of people. We might be a small team, but we've got a big network of people that can support it in terms of mortgage people, IFAs. We've got a really good team around us. So if we can't.
Let's drill back into the forecasting and the management accounts. What's
sweet spot.
Value? Yeah, absolutely, and mine as well. So what's the value of that to a business, to a micro or small business? What's the value of having a set of management accounts and good forecasts in place? What does that mean?
I mean, management accounts, basically, we don't just skip a report off Xero. We literally do management accounts to stat level. So every balance sheet, control accounts checked. We review P&L. We put packs together that are meaningful to clients. So we'll say, what is it you want to see? What's useful to you? How do you want to see your sales broken down? How do
they know what's useful to them until they see the numbers? Because a lot of business owners come with their own skill set for what they do, but not necessarily with a financial skill set. So how do you help them to understand the value of the numbers?
Well, for us, it's us understanding their business. So it's us drilling down into their business and understanding what they do and what makes them tick, what lights them up, why they got into business to do what they did, and from that we glean. And I've got 3 management accountants in the business, so we're used to the business stuff, and it's just gleaning from them what we think would be useful for them to say. So we say, well, would it be useful if you saw it in this format, or if we broke the sales down like that? And tracking what services are profitable, what products are profitable, and what they want to sell more of, what do they love doing, what would they like to see, and even just like we do a really cool pie chart of sales streams, so they can see, oh, actually that's really quite tiny, I need to be doing more of that. So sometimes the visuals are really good for them.
I get that. I love that.
So that aside, we're giving them actual data of how they're performing now, and that's fine. And I always say, you've got to have that, and it's got to be accurate, and it's got to be on time, timely for it to be meaningful. But that's gone. It's done. You can't do anything about that. That's but
it's a historical piece.
Yeah, it is. But that's your starting point to move forward. So if you've got accurate data as of now, then you've got something that you can forecast forward on pretty accurately. So and again, there's lots of AI predicted forecasting stuff that people are just whacking out. But again, we sit and we make sure that in their forecast, it's not us saying, oh, just do 20 grand a month or 50 grand a month. It's how are you going to do 50 grand a month? What's that made up of? What resource do you need in order to do that? Because it's all right saying I want to be a multimillionaire and want to do 3 million, or whatever they want to do. How are you going to do it?
Yeah,
What resource?
what are the nuts and bolts that make
Yeah,
that
what
happen?
resource do you need to do it? And you know, what people do you need? What plant and machinery do you need? What etc. You know,
So it's not just the numbers. It's not just the
it's
numbers.
not
It's
not just the
actually digging all
numbers.
the way back
There you
into
go.
what are the
Bingo.
mechanics to start creating those numbers.
Yeah, yeah. And so when you know, and we've put some really robust forecasts together for people in terms of, you know, especially when they've been going out for funding and things like that. And we've had comments back from the banks saying we've never seen forecasting like this on 10 million pound businesses, let alone £500,000 businesses. And they've been literally stamping the funding straight through. Because it's not just a case of
it's believable data.
It's believable data. It's because, you know, they go, well, what's that figure made up of? And we go, it's this because of that. And you know, we can talk through, you know, talk it through, and we make sure it's logical and makes some sense. And you know, we work incredibly hard to make sure that that's right. And you know, we work with a big manufacturing business down south, and there were two of us on a new forecasting platform actually, which that's another story. But it's somebody we've worked with a long time. But we were testing a new forecast platform, and didn't quite go to plan. But the point is, we put the effort in. We spent till I think I was working till 3 o'clock in the morning to hit a deadline to make sure these guys got of about £1.5 million of funding to move to a new factory. So it wasn't insubstantial, and it mattered.
Yeah.
But even right down to this, you know, the smaller guys we work with, we again, it's talking, how do you do this? Why do you do that? Why are you charging that amount? You know, what's your value, and understanding the value in the marketplace. And for one particular client they always said, oh, we must be your smallest client. Well, they're not anymore, because they learnt to value themselves. They learnt to put their prices up, and they literally,
everybody wins.
Yeah, they're on track this year to quadruple their turnover and
Standing.
triple the profits. And it's enabled them, even at small, you know, it's making that difference even at small level. It's made the difference between them moving house and not moving house. So
it makes a difference to lives. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's brilliant. You know, it's that. It's, you know, the numbers, of course, the numbers are important, but it isn't just about the numbers, and that's what we're about.
Brilliant. What's your favourite story then, as we start to wind down? So what's your favourite story? What's your favourite client story, or your favourite client? What stands out
God,
from that?
We've got so many favourite clients.
They're all favourite clients.
They are all favourite, but you know, we do have some amazing clients, and I have those pinch me moments sometimes. Like, oh my God, these people are working with us, and you know, one of our mantras is to inspire and be inspired every day of our working lives, and that's because, you know, accountants generally, we're supposed to be a bit boring, aren't we, and a bit sort of stuck in the geeky corner. But what makes our job interesting is not the numbers; it's the people, and it's the businesses, and just listening to the client stories. I'm inspired every day. That's what gets me out of bed every day. And you know, is there a favourite client? Yeah, of course, we have our favourites, but there's
We're
are
not going to name them right now.
No, I just think, you know, we're very, very blessed. We're very blessed that we've got to a stage where all our work comes in on referral, and we work with some incredible businesses, and some of them have been with us a long time, and you know, they came to us small, but now they're big and doing incredibly well. And I know with some of them that they'll outgrow us. And you know, we've got some recently over the last 2 or 3 years where they sold out for some really, really nice sums. And we've helped them through that. And
do you think it's the reason they've been worth so much in the marketplace, being so attractive that they could sell, that they could actually go out for bidders? Has that been part and parcel of having your numbers behind them?
Yes, definitely. And not to blow our own trumpets, but I mean, one of the clients three of the clients that sold out recently, none of them were looking to sell. They'd been, they'd been sort of targeted in their particular marketplace. One of the clients went through due diligence, the financial due diligence in less than 2 days.
Which is, for me,
because
of selling businesses, the due diligence is the moment where the buyer comes in and beats the hell out of you. And it's probably one of the most miserable parts of a business sale if your numbers are not in order in the first place. How nice it must be to have the resilience of the settlement behind you.
I mean, I just remember one client. It was probably one of the first business sales I'd got involved in, and it came along quite quickly. And he came to us in such a mess, and we do have a bit of a reputation of being, in the polite sense, of being the pickle unpicklers. And he was a pickle that we unpickled, and it got to the stage where, and he said all too often, I'm getting my tax bill the day before it's due. I have sleepless nights. I'm anxious. Yada yada yada. So, and we got systems and processes in place where, to the point where he knew his numbers all the time. He knew his tax all the time. We educate. I'm massive on educating clients so they understand. There's so many people come to us that don't understand, and they don't know why they've done that, and they don't know why that's happened. And we want people to know. We want people to understand. So these guys, this particular guy, got to the point where by his year end, he'd paid his corporation tax, even though it was not due for another 9 months, but he got the money tucked away, and it's everything was really slick. So these guys came along, wanted to buy him out. He was sat in a big boardroom full of all these PLCs, and we'd been practicing our numbers and practicing and gone through absolutely everything. We'd nailed it all on. And he walked into that room. He came out and he rang me and he said, "I can't tell you what I've just done." And he said, "I've just sold my business for X." And he said, "But I've just sat in that boardroom." And he said, "And they tried to trip me up every step of the way on my numbers, and they couldn't." He said, "I answered every single thing." He said, "I just went bang, 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 bang." He said, "And I knew everything in my finances." He said,
That's an amazing story. I love that.
They could not trip me up on one single thing.
And that probably is the best part of selling his business. That's going to stick with him forever. Absolutely.
But on the back of that, he sold out. He sold out, life-changingly sold out, and then set up another business. But all the people that worked with him before are all now clients back with us as well. So and we've got lots of stories like that, and that's what it is that gets me out of bed every day.
I love that. That's absolutely brilliant. Debbie, thank you so much for coming on Yorkshire Business Podcast. It's been absolutely insightful. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for having me.